Thank you once again. Um, Today, we'd like to start very early to be able to cover a lot of areas concerning today's topic. And this is the area that most of times scenarios, questions um, are set from, and sometimes if we are not being very careful, we may struggle. My name is Smith, and welcome to tonight's tutorial. And God bless you for coming along to enjoy today's lesson. Today we are going to look at forms of teaching methods that help our learners to be assertive in the classroom and help them learn and learn better. And these areas are also very important for us as teachers to learn something for our promotion aptitude test. That is why it is very important that I share something concerning um, the methods of teaching that teachers need to cover this area before they go and write their promotion aptitude test. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe and come back all the time to learn something. Now, the first method that we're going to look at that will help learners interact, that will help learners learn and be active in the classroom is what we term as activity-oriented or learner-centered approach of teaching. Learner-centered approach of teaching or activity-based method. And what is it about? In the comment section, if you can hear from me, just type yes or type thank you that you can hear me from the comment section. Take this area very serious because of its delicate nature and how they set questions concerning this area. So activity oriented or learner-centered approach is one of the teaching methods that engages learners in the classroom, help learners to learn, and activity methods um, help teachers and learners at the same time in the classroom. If you want your learners to be engaged, use activity method. So teachers who use activity methods in their teaching know that children learn best by doing and also finding interest in the subject in which they learn. And they find it very enjoyable through activities. And activity based method of teaching is learner centered. As I said, it's also called learner centered approach of teaching. So the teacher uses activities as part of teaching and learning, teaching and learning to help the learners learn very well. And um, learning process and its pattern involves with learners taking part in activities in all what they learn, and the pattern in which they perform the activities are without thinking, And what they need to do is they have to walk around the classroom and make a talk, especially when they are doing practical activities. So activity method help acquire the experience quickly, and because they help us use to practice through repetition of activities. So you need to repeat the activities several times to help the learners learn. And it's very important that you use activity-based method. Now that the second one that or method is what everybody knows or everybody uses, or the traditional method, that is the lecture method of teaching, is one of the methods that teachers use in guiding their learners to learn in the classroom. And lecture method demands for a large number, or it is used when you're having a large number of students and you want to cover a lot of areas in the teaching. So use lecture method. And lecture method is the oldest method of teaching, and is based on the idealism philosophy. So the philosophies who are with the ideas, or who are having the mind of talking about giving ideas to learners, they use this type of method. And it's one of the methods that traditionally most lecturers use in universities and the tertiary institutions. So it is also it refers to a teaching method whereby the teacher offers explanation through presentation of the topic or the content to the learners or to the students. So here it is the teacher who is actively involved in the learning, and the teacher presents the learning to the students or the learners. And the teacher clarifies the content matter to the students by using gestures, by using simple devices, or by changing voice or change in the position and facial expressions anytime he or she is teaching. And here the teacher does almost everything. The teacher is the active participant in the learning, while the learners are passive. So the teachers are more active while learners are passive, but the teachers occasionally ask questions from the learners to seek the understanding, to get whether the learners are grasping whatever he is presenting. And it can be effective method when the people are highly interested in whatever is being given out, whatever information is being given out. So you have to learn this. And it is very important we get to know this before we go and write a promotion aptitude test. So in a lecture, the students, that is the listeners, hardly have the opportunity to interrupt the lecturer to clarify or to get the understanding of the content that he or she is teaching. And it's most important we know this. And there is a very little scope for learners to be actively in the learning with this type of approach. So you need to have it. So lecture method is economical and is useful in a large class, as I said already. It is used in a very large class. If the numbers, the enrollment in the classroom is very large, then lecture method is the best one to present information to the learners, and it is usually done in the universities or the tertiary institutions, because that place it deals with a very large number of people, and they need to cover a lot of areas, have very limited time to, and because it's very economical in using lecture method, it's being employed by university lecturers to use it. Now, the third method or another method is a discovery method of teaching. Discovery method of teaching. And in discovery method of teaching, it is an inquiry based or inquiry based instruction which encourages learners to build on the past experiences or the past learning experiences that they have gone through, and or knowledge that they have gone through, and use their imaginations and intuitions and creativity to research for information, to discover the facts, or to discover the new ideas that they want to use in the learning. So discovery method of teaching is also inquiry based learning. Inquiry based learning. They need to inquire, they need to know, and it helps them to be creative, able to search for information that will help them in their learning. So we said it is an inquiry based learning. And learning is not about absorbing whatever is said or was said or read, but it involves active seeking for answers and solutions to problems. So the learners get to make a research, get to inquire and get information that is very dear to them. So they are actively involved in whatever they are doing in their learning process. So it's an inquiry based learning. And the approach is to the type of learning where um, it is used from it developed from the premises of the personal interest that they get from it. And it motivates them, it helps them to be active exploration of the areas that they need to gather knowledge from. So the inquiry based or the discovery method of teaching is where learners try to seek information, try to know whatever is important for them to learn that particular topic. They inquire, they try to search about the topic. That's why we say it is an inquiry base. And most of the times, discovery method is also described as experiential learning or learning through experience. So in a promotion exams, if the question is posed, a method that is learning by experience or experiential learning, we're talking about discovery learning, because you learn by experiencing or you have already gotten some experience for your past learning. You're using that to gather information or search for information or seek for information and find solution to problem. So discovery learning is also known as experiential learning or learning through experience. So as a result of learning through experience, people come to discover things that they did not know before. They come to know new ideas. They come to um, get information that will help them in their subsequent learning, and they learn new ideas to help them improve their learning. So discovery learning method also ensure a long term record of learned material. Why? Because they themselves have searched for the information and have seen for whatever they are going to use. It helps them in the long run. They are able to recollect it because they have done it themselves. People do not easily forget whatever they have learned through discovery learning. It also facilitates a better transfer of skills learned to other problems of similar matter. So discovery learning is very important in the classroom that we need to handle as teachers and help the learners. Now let's look at another um, method of teaching, and this one is very key, very important. That is expository method of teaching. Expository method of teaching is almost like a lecture method of teaching. It's almost like a lecture method of teaching. Why? The expository method of teaching, the major task of the teacher is to select whatever content or whatever information that he wants to give to the learners or to the pupils, and also present them by telling them or reading it to them or showing them whatever they want to do in the classroom or whatever they want to do in the learning situation. So here, the people on the other part listen to the lecturer or listen to the teacher or observe whatever the teacher is doing or digest the information and trying to understand it. So they are not actively involved in the learning process. Here, the teacher presents the information to them by talking, by telling them or reading the information to them, or by showing them what they need to do, and through that, the information is presented to them. Expository method of teaching. So here, learners receive the information already packaged by the teacher, and they don't have much to involve in the learning process. The teacher does everything. The learners are passive. They are not much involved in whatever is being learned. And we have types of expository learning. One of them is the reception learning. Reception learning is one of the expository method of learning. Sometimes it refers to as reception learning, and it describes how information gets to the people or information gets to the learners or information gets to the students in the classroom. And here, learners are um, only receiving the information while the teacher is doing everything. So they do not do much for the research for the information. So they do little. The reception learning, the learners do little while the teacher does everything, and it's very um, passive in a way in terms of the learners involving in the learning process. It is very passive. So reception learning, the entire content of what to be learned is presented to the learners in the final form by the teacher. So here the teacher does everything, present everything to the learners. And another type of or another form of expository learning is a meaningful reception learning process or one of the things that or steps that are taken through for learners to understand or to get the concept is one, to remember. So remember the information that the teacher gives to you, and this the people must understand whatever has been received from the teacher. They must understand it. That is one of the main step of reception learning. The two is to understand. Understand. How do they understand? The people must understand whatever is being received through the teacher. The fourth or the third one or the third step is generalization. After they have gotten whatever information that is presented to them by the teacher, they need to use that information to generalize or use it in a wider context. So people must attempt to generalize the information he or she have received from the learners to get better understanding of whatever is. Then the fourth step is to act. After they have um, remembered the information, understood the information, and generalized the information, they need to work on the information. And here, people, after receiving the information from the teacher, must act or perform an action. Perform an action. And it's very important. There are so many methods that are used in a classroom, and that is what we are dealing with. These are the areas that they set questions concerning the scenarios. And if you are able to go through this to help you. Now let's look at the next method, that is discussion method. Discussion method questions came in either 2021 or 2023. Discussion method, and that one it came in the objective test. So discussion methods provide the opportunity for learners to share ideas, learners to discuss, and learners to discuss issues and things planned for them in the classroom. So here it is another nice way. Here the topic must be a bit within the context of the learners. If the topic is very difficult, learners are not able to go through it. Learners are not able to discuss or share ideas about the topic. So the topic should be within the confines or within the strength of the learners. And here, the learning activities involve active and um, cooperative consideration of the topic or the problem under discussions or the problem under ideas sharing. So the learners get involved and cooperate among themselves in the learning process or in the discussion process. And it is characterized by an increased involvement and active participation of the learning process by the learners or by the members in the learning environment or learning discussion of this topic. It is a nice one. So this one, the topic needs to be within the confines of the learners, within the limits or within the strength of the learners. If the topic is too difficult, learners are not able to get themselves involved or able to discuss whatever is before them. So the topic needs to be within their strengths or the confines of their strengths. It's very nice one. So the teacher only initiates the interaction and allow the students to pursue the discussion towards achieving the goal that they want to achieve. So here the teacher only initiates or introduce the topic to them and allow the learners to discuss whatever they to discuss to achieve the learning target. Now, in using discussion method, the learners should be familiar with the topic to be to be discussed so that they can allow contribution to the discussion of the topic. So that is why I said the topic needs to be within the strength of the learners. If the topic is very difficult, learners are not able to discuss or able to share ideas about the topic. So it should be within the learner's strength so that it will help them discuss whatever topic that is before them and able to achieve the learning goals that is set before them. So it is better to use this method with an older people or those who are a bit grown so that they will have to acquire the ability of necessary for intelligent discussion. So if you are to use this topic, you need to use it at the upper primary or at the junior high or the senior high school. That is where learners are a bit matured and they will able to discuss, share ideas about the topic and able to acquire the necessary skills that will help them discuss the topic for the day. So discussion method is very important. Please give this video a thumbs up, or if you have not subscribed yet, kindly subscribe. And Patient Afi, good evening. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. So this topic should be within the strength of the learners. Should be within the strength of the learners. And if you want to get better ideas, better discussion with a topic or concerning the topic, you should try this method with those who are a bit grown, like the upper primary or the JHS or the senior high. That place they are grown. But if you use this topic, so this method in the lower primary, you are not going to get a good results because they are not able to think as compared to those in the junior high school and the senior high school. So this discussion method, the topic that you select should be largely within the strength of the learners. It should be within the strength of the learners. So take these key um, issues very well. Now, the next one that we're going to look at is demonstration method of teaching. Demonstration, demonstrate, show. So when we say demonstration method, what is it about? There are key things that you need to jot down, and those are the things that they set questions around. And if you are not being exposed to this, highly difficult for you to know. So discussion method is an audiovisual explanation or emphasizing the important point of product or process or an idea. It is an activity method which combines telling, showing, and doing for the benefit of the audience. So, audiovisual, they need to see and hear whatever is being demonstrated. So, if you are doing a demonstration in a classroom, learners need to hear and see the activity that is ongoing, that you are showing them, the process that you are showing them, the product that you want to come out with. Learners need to see and hear the process that you are dealing with or the idea that you are presenting to them. They need to see with their eyes and able to hear it with their ears. That's why we said it is audiovisual, audiovisual way of explanation and emphasizing on the important point of the product or the process or ideas. And we said it is an activity based that combine telling, showing, and more to the point, doing for the benefit of the audience. So you need to tell whatever process that you are demonstrating, and you need to show it to the learners, and they need to also do it. So that is demonstration method. It is mostly applied in these areas. One of the areas that demonstration method is good is in the science topics. Science topic, that is where demonstration are much important or much exhibited in their lessons. Then we also have vocational skills aspect or vocational field and technical skills. And Physical education. So physical education, like in trying to teach or trying to help learners develop a skills, you need to demonstrate it, especially volleyball or football, how learners need to pass. These are physical education activities, and you need to demonstrate it as the coach, as the technical um, manager of whatever you are doing to the learners. You need to demonstrate it. And practical things like vocational, like food preparation and food processing, you need to demonstrate. Demonstrate by showing and telling them how they should do it. And after that, they need to practically do it for you to see. So it is by telling them and showing them and letting them do to benefit the audience or the learners who are going through whatever demonstration that is going through. Now, there are things that when you want to do demonstration lesson, you need to put in place. You need to establish a proper attitude in, in the demonstration lessons. You need to conscientize their mind. You need to conscientize their mind to have a proper attitude towards demonstration. Then you need to keep the demonstration very simple. Demonstration need to be kept very simple so that it will not confuse them. And the time, the demonstration for the dramatic effect need to also be guided by the teacher to help the learners. Then constantly check the student's understanding. Checking the student understanding, you need to ask students questions, how the process is going. Wherever you have reached, you ask questions to get their understanding. So it is very much of importance that you come out with these measures to help them learn in their learning process. Now let's come to another method of teaching that is you can also drop in the promotion aptitude test. Can also drop in the promotion aptitude test is the role play. Role play is another method. Role play. If you listen to or if you hear the word role and play, you assume a position of somebody and demonstrate the responsibility of that. So you can take family activities, a child representing the father and demonstrate the responsibility of the father, or a child representing the mother and demonstrating the responsibility of the mother. That is a role play. So they assume a role and play the role of that person. So in this method, the individual is made to assume and perform the role to express himself or herself on the interpretation of how he or she might behave in a given situation or a given circumstances. So if you're allowing the child to assume the position of the farmer and perform the father's function, so in situation where they face that same circumstances or same situation, they're able to role play whatever they have learned from the learning situation. So the child imagine that he or she is somebody else. So he is not within the confine of the learner environment, but here he or she is taking the position of the father and become the father and performing the function of the father or the mother, or the learner becoming a driver, assuming the position of the driver and showing the responsibility and the skills of a driver. That is a role play, or a doctor. So most of the time, these career days, these are the times that learners demonstrate using a role play method where learners show their careers by assuming the position of a doctor and role play the responsibility of a doctor or perform the responsibility of a doctor or a nurse, a teacher, or a soldier or police. So these are role play activities, especially career days, or um, drama scenes. Drama scenes, they use role play to perform drama. So when using a role play, learners must be allowed to take part of the characters they prefer. So in a drama, you allow learners to function within the role that they prefer of doing it. You don't force on them. So you ask who wants to be a driver, who wants to be a doctor, or who wants to be the mother, who wants to be um, the linguist, who wants to be the chief, and who wants to be the queen mother. So they assume these positions and perform their responsibilities in the learning situation. So role play is one of the methods that is used in the learning situation for all of us. The next one is project and problem solving method. Project, if you listen to project and problem solving. So topic is selected by the teacher as a problem, and learners are guided by the teacher to solve that problem using an alternative or alternative solutions to solve the problem. So the method of teaching can be used in a classroom to help the learners to learn very well. So here the classroom learning had become sometimes very bookish. They need to go outside the classroom environment and had a little bearing on their real life situation. So they need to go out the classroom and solve a particular problem, research about the problem and solve it. So they also realized that this was responsible for the lack of the interest on the part of the learners on this method. So those who propounded this method saw that all the time learners are in the classroom doing bookish or doing or learning about or reading about books, and they don't have interest, they lack the interest in the classroom. So they need to expose them to the learning environment or to different environment for them to learn. So the student needs to see and appreciate the value of whatever they want to learn. So when they go outside the classroom, they appreciate whatever is outside the classroom and they learn better. They see real life situations or real life problems and solve them within their strengths or within their learning capabilities. So it is very important. So working on the project, the student need to work on the tasks that they themselves have chosen and prepared to work on it and ready to fix any challenge that they may face or they may come along with. So they will select the topic and prepare, or they will select the problem, or they will choose the challenge and try to solve the problem or try to solve the difficult situation that may arise when they are doing their project work. So the result of the project work is sometimes or something that can help learners to see, like reports, like mappings, like model of an object. So here they trying to learn it by doing whatever challenge that they are facing. And it's very important that we know this before we go and write our promotion aptitude test. So the project method can be defined as a unit of activity carried out by a learner or learners in a natural and life-like manner in a spirit of the purpose of accomplishing um, that problem that they face or that is ahead of them that they want to solve. So have it in mind. So how do they do this? So the learning unit is chosen and conducted by the learner under the guidance of the teacher. And how do they do it? There are steps that they need to get involved to solve this particular problem. One of the things is that they will identify the problem first. So in in research, you need to identify the problem, and identifying the problem and solving is very important. So the first thing that they need to do is to identify the problem that they want to solve, or they want to provide solution, or they want to provide solutions to the problem. So first thing is to identify the problem. The second is planning the project, that is to think of the solutions that to use to solve the particular problem. So first, selecting the problem. The second one, planning the project. The third one, what skills or and what understanding do you have about the problem or ideas do you have about the problem? Then choosing a suitable or um, an alternative solutions to the problem. And by doing this, you choose the objectives of the project and must be spelled out the target that you want to achieve in the process, the learning process. So in doing this, when you are able to choose the solutions, the appropriate solutions to the problem, you put the solution into practice and see whether it works or they work in solving the problem. So you need to choose alternative solutions to the problem or consider alternative solutions to the problem and choose the best that will help you solve that particular um, learning problem. And activity based or project based is likely to also happen in the promotion aptitude test. So try and jot something down before you go and write. Now we are left with two aspects of the methods that will facilitate or help you in the classroom at the same time in the promotion aptitude test. One of them is field trip, or one method two is field trip. Field trip. Field trip. Field trip is one of the methods that is used in a class or outside the classroom. So most of the time, you send children out for them to learn new things. So a field trip is one of the activity-oriented method. It engages the people to learn in groups as well as learn independently. Tell them to learn on their own when you send them out. And it consists of a plan and organized visit to places of interest and to study the important topics outside the classroom. So this one, you send the learners out to important places. It could be economical or economic ventures. It could be cultural areas. It could be historical areas, and it could be environmental areas that you send the learners to learn. So places like artisans or marketplaces, shops, malls, occupations, companies, transportation site that you send the learners to. Here, they are going to learn the economic activities that happen within these areas. So, artisans, where we have these fitters, we have these welders, we have these mechanics. So we send the learners to these areas. These areas are economic ventures areas that you send learners for them to go and learn about fitting, for them to go and learn about how um, damaged cars are repaired, or fitting shops or companies, brewing companies and the rest. They go and see with their naked eyes and how things are done over there. So you can send your learners on an economic trip for them to go and learn. Then the cultural trip, where they go and see um, places of worship like festivals, like customary rites, like um, institutions, traditional institutions like the chieftaincy institutions or chief palace and the rest, to send learners to those areas for them to learn about cultural activities and cultural heritage. You, they, you can take learners on a visit, on a trip, or on field trip for them to go there and learn new things outside the classroom. Then you can also take them to historical places for them to go and learn about the history of a particular place, like forts and castles or government institutions. You send them, or like slave trade institutions, send them there for them to learn about the historical background of the place. So the historical background could be the tomb or museums of, or the places that they have buried former president or prominent people. You go there for them to learn. Then we also have environmental areas like you can send them to waterfalls, you can send them to mountains, you can send them to recreational centers or reclaim site or recycling system, or polluted and reclaimed site like Galamsey site, and they will go and learn about the damning effects of these activities, and they will have a positive mind about whatever they have learned from. So it is one of the important method of teaching that we need to use. We need to send our learners to these areas. So there are two types of field trip. We have the structured type and unstructured type. So the structured type, the students are made aware of whatever tasks that they are going to perform or they are going to do. So they are already aware of things that they are going to do in the learning process outside the classroom. And unstructured, the learners are not aware, but when they get to the place that they try to learn whatever they have seen there. So they're unstructured. The students only have the idea of where they are going or visiting, and they will study whatever they wish and they deem it very fit over there. So if you are taking them to um, FEMA or monkey um, sanctuaries, they don't have any knowledge about it. So the moment they get there, that they will learn the plant species or they will learn about the animal species over there. So that is unstructured. So we have the structured and unstructured field trip. Structured field trip, they know whatever they are going to learn about, or they know whatever they are going to do there in the structured field trip. But the unstructured, they are not aware of anything unless they get there and see the things by themselves. And if they seems to be interested in whatever they want to learn, they will learn things over there. So that is um, field trip. Now the last one, that's to draw the curtains down, is problem solving method or based method, problem based or problem solving based method of teaching. So problem solving method of teaching is a plan to attack the difficult situation for the purpose of finding solution to it. So here the problem solving based method is an activity based, and more to the point, learners attack the situation, or learners find solution to the situation in which they faced. So the method is a plan one, and learners attack the difficult situation or the problem and find solution to it at the spot. So the method of teaching in which a person uses his ability to solve a problem which confront him is a problem solving based method. So when they are faced with a challenge, they will provide solutions. They will try to look for solutions to solve the problem. The project and problem solving based method is almost the same like this one, but this one is slightly different. That one is more or less like a research base, but this one, when they are faced with a problem, they look for solutions and solve the problem. And there are stages that you need to pass through for the problem to be solved. That's why I said it's almost like the project based method of teaching. So this one too, you identify the problem, then you explain the problem or the difficult situation in which you face, then you 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 find solutions to the problem. So you break down the problem to see if it is a simple problem, there's no compounding problems that will arrive at, and what you need to do is to find solution to the problem. So you break down the problem into various parts and see if there's no any other problem related to the one that you have, or the whole that you have faced with. Then what you need to do is you need to generate alternative solutions to the problem. You need to find solutions. And in finding solutions, you'll come up with so many ideas in solving the problem. Then you choose the best from the already generated alternative solutions to the problem. So select the possible solutions you think will work and put them together to solve the problem in which you are facing. So that is um, problem solving method of teaching. Then when you have selected the possible best to solve the problems, you put those solutions into test in your mind to see if one works before the final selection. So after you have gotten the possible best solutions, you choose one of the solutions and test the problem and see if you are able to solve, or if that solution is able to solve the problem. Then you your selected solution is now put into the practice to um, to solve the problem. Then study the solution closely to see whether those solutions that you are putting to solve the problem is effective to solving the problem. So that is the problem solving method of teaching. First, you consider the problem or identify the problems, break down the problem into simple terms and see if there's no related problems arising. Then you need to um, generate alternative solutions. Select the best possible solutions to the problem and put one into test and see if the problem can be solved by the possible solutions that you have. Then you put the solutions into the practice, or you put it to the test to see whether it is working. Now, to do this, there are very, very important things that you need to choose the problem solving based method. So problem solving based methods is useful for mental and attitudinal development. If you have learners who are mentally stable, mentally strong, or have the attitude of solving the problem, then this method is good for you. And it's used to those who are a bit mature, not just the tender age learners. No. So it is among the least method used in schools. It's among the least method because several reasons need to be considered. And the popular ones that need to be considered is that the problem solving is for a mature student. It's for mature students, not the tender age learners. So problem solving activity takes a greater deal of time. That is why we said that we cannot use it at any level. But those who are matured and can be able to cope with the the pressure in connection with the problem solving base. And there are no materials to support the primary school activities for problem solving to happen. So these are some of the methods that you need to know when the scenarios um, questions come, that you need to use them to solve your problems in the promotion aptitude test and use them in the classroom to help learners. This is what we have tonight to share with you, and it is a good time to have with you this evening. And I hope it will actually help you to pass your promotion exam. I have about 3 minutes or 2 minutes to discuss this. There are two main key methods of teaching. Those that I've talked about are forms of teaching, but there are two types of teaching, two type of or method of teaching. One is inductive method of teaching, and the second one is deductive. So all these methods, all these forms of method are boiling around these two types of method of teaching. That is inductive reasoning method of teaching and deductive reasoning method of teaching. I leave it to you for you to go and learn something about deductive and inductive method of teaching. Inductive reasoning method of teaching and deductive reasoning method of teaching. So go and learn something about these two types of teaching methods that I've given to you. The other 8 or 9 that I've discussed are the forms, but these are the two key types: the inductive reasoning method of teaching and deductive reasoning method of teaching. Thank you for coming along, and we shall meet another time. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up or like this video, or you can also support us with this line 02416893882. 02416893882 to support us. God bless you. We shall see you in the next video. Subscribe and like the video. Bye bye.